pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everybody to this regularly scheduled planning board meeting. We have a pretty packed agenda today, so if you are here to make a comment, if you could please go up to the microphone and keep it to 3 minutes, we would really appreciate that. After the public has the planning board will comment, the public can comment, and then the planning board will have the last comments. Yeah, minutes, yeah. So the first item on the agenda is approval of the January 25th minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tom. A second?
Second.
Thanks. And we'll do a roll call. So Dave.
I'd say to the people that are at the Elm, we can't hear anything that you're saying. If you can hear us.
Yeah, we can hear them.
It looks like that Zoom user is muted. So.
Whoops. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Well, I just did a big spiel about speaking into the microphone, coincidentally, and
The microphone needs to be on.
And we did the Pledge of Allegiance, as you probably saw, and then Tom just made a motion to approve the January 25th meeting minutes, and Cassie seconded it. So we'll do a roll call unless there's any discussion. Good. All right. So Dave.
Yes.
April.
Yes.
Bruce.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Tom.
Yes.
And Cassie.
Yes.
Awesome. So now, item number 2, disclosure of conflicts of interest. Are there any conflicts that the board wishes to discuss tonight on the agenda? Okay. Hearing none, we will move on. So item number 3, where Butler is requesting a rezoning for the assessor parcel 48,195 and 5217, 20 and 24 North Street from residential D to contract zone commercial A, where Butler proposes to use the 2 lots for parking. The review is in accordance with section 7.1 of the zoning ordinance. So this is something we talked about last week. Ann had sent us all sent the board a memo regarding the contract zoning and how it impacts the comprehensive plan. Are there any comments from the board on that? Dave?
Yeah, Ann, I thank you for writing the memo. I've read it through a couple of times, as well as the ordinance. Looks to be exactly what we discussed. So, thanks.
You got the version I sent today, I trust.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the public, from the board? Any members of the public wish to comment? Yeah, sure.
This is about 3 minutes. I promise not to be too long, but I don't know what's transpired since the last meeting, but I'm just gonna paint my picture. The front yard of our home on 5 Morrill is 2 houses up from where Butler's lumberyard. Our backyard chain link fence abuts their newly expanded parking lot on North Street. If I reach my arm above our fence, I can almost touch the trucks and cars parked there. The quietness of my neighborhood is sacrosanct to me, and thus far the parking lot has not infringed upon that. I'm happy that a contract zone is being proposed. If Ware Butler were to sell the parking lot in the future, it would be a detriment to have something like a gas station or a box store right in our backyard and listen to big trucks idling. So 3 points for consideration. So one of the goals under the natural resources in Chapter 13 of the comprehensive plan is to protect Waterville's air quality and the quality of its water resources like rivers, streams, etc. Although it doesn't mention circumstances of water running off gravel or paved parking lots, I hope that Ware Butler will have a vision and plan to create an eco-friendly parking lot, whether they keep it as gravel or if they were to install pavement in the future. If they decided to pave the lot, it would be environmentally advantageous if they chose a stormwater-friendly, permeable, porous concrete that better allows water to soak into the ground and lessens gasoline residues, salts, oils, etc., from running off into driveways and neighborhood storm drains. I read up that even gravel, if parking lot is sloped, that can go and, pollute storm drains and our sewer systems. Item number 2, please plant hedges sooner than 5 years from now. Hedges will provide a bit of green privacy, help the air quality, and muffle the noise of cars entering and exiting the parking lot, as well as traffic on North Street. And again, permeable parking lots help hedges grow and stay alive better. So also it's my understanding that parked vehicles should be at least 5 feet away from the fence. Item number 3 is, as time passes, does the planning board follow up with the recommendations made to Ware Butler tonight? So finally, I don't know who the new owners and workers are at Ware Butler, but I hope that they will leave kind footprints like the previous owners did. 45 years ago, we were lucky to purchase a lovely older home in a slow-moving, quiet neighborhood. It needed repairs, so we were blessed with a lumber and building supply store right around the corner. Its staff was always friendly and helpful. I fondly remember now retired Bob and Jerry Saintema, the Saint as he was called, who were easy to engage in conversation. One early morning summer day long ago, my husband bought supplies to resurface our roof. A few hours later, Jerry Saintema ran over to our house on his break and hollered up to my husband on the roof asking, "How are the materials working out?" That's it.
Thank you, Linda.
May I?
Yes,
respond
absolutely,
to-
Ann.
The condition concerning the screening, the requirement is that the trees reach a height of 6 feet within 5 years. It's not that they can wait 5 years to plant the trees. They're supposed to plant the trees right away.
And I believe if they are to pave, they need to come back for a
They have to
site
come
plan
to the planning board for site plan
review
review
if they were to
They
pave.
they have no plans to pave right now, according to Mr. Jaguar.
Yeah,
But if they did, it would come back.
it would come back.
Yes,
And then
you would be notified.
as far as if the buffer requirements aren't meeting the ordinance, that would be the code enforcement office that you would follow up with to let them know that. And we can certainly, we've run into that before too, where if you wanted to email one of us, we could also check with the code enforcement officer and ask them to go evaluate that. So if they're not meeting that. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve item number 3. I don't feel like reading the entire thing again. That's okay. Ware Butler's rezoning to a contract zone commercial A.
So moved.
Thank you, Dave. Any seconds?
Second it.
Thanks, Bruce. So we'll do a roll call. So Dave,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
I am a yes, Tom,
Yes.
and Cassie.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, on to item number 4. 295 KMD LLC is requesting review for revisions to a previously approved plan for Penny Hill Park. The review is in accordance with section 9.4 of the subdivision and site plan review ordinance. Do we have anybody on, Ally?
Mark McCluskey and Bill.
Okay, if you want to bring them right in. So we'll have to do the findings and facts as well.
This is the original, if you'd have the board sign it,
Okay.
if they don't have objections.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
Mark McCluskey with A.U. Hudson Engineers. Excuse me, and we're here tonight representing 295 KMD LLC for a modification to their previously approved site plan for Penny Hill Park at 295 KMD. What we have submitted here, I'll just, and I can share my screen with you folks if you'd like.
Absolutely.
And just go over what the applicant is proposing.
And Mark, if I may, can you hear me, Mark?
Sure.
We can.
Hi, everybody. This is Bill Mitchell. Just as a point of reference, I'm the owner of 295 KMD LLC, and Mark is here to present our proposal this evening.
Welcome, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay, so back in 2012, we originally permitted the property with just the front building, and then I think it was 2017, the applicant built the building out back for a doctor's office and retail space. And what we're proposing tonight is one of the units in the front building is unoccupied, and there's a business interested in going in that requires a drive-through. So we've designed the drive-through to fit the site, and what we show here meets all the requirements of the ordinance. This is one of the proposals tonight. The second is a addition to the existing building in back of the front building, which is right now there's a daycare and a gym in the building, and the gym wanted a little bit of extra space, so I don't remember exactly what the square footage is, but I think it's like 1,056 square feet of additional space being added on to that building. That's the proposal tonight.
Okay. Any questions from members of the board? You'll have to tell me, Ally, because I can't see anybody. If anybody's online. April.
Sorry, spacebar wasn't working. Anyway, yeah, I was thinking about the Wendy's in town and how that's a real nuisance with the traffic flowing in and out. I'm wondering, just because it's like a blind spot on a hill, I'm looking at the Google Street View, and I can't really tell from the Google Street View how that might interact with the traffic pattern there. I don't know if anybody is if that has been a thing that's been looked at.
It
It's
has.
on a slight incline, but not too bad, really.
We haven't really looked at that. We looked at the traffic impact, which we have to do for all of the developments, and it's in the application that was submitted. It's gonna the drive-through in the new addition is gonna create approximately 19 new peak hour trips, which is well under the 100 peak hour trips necessary for any type of mitigation. So As far as the traffic goes, we're pretty well clear on that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dave, did you have your hand up, or?
Yeah, thanks. I was going to ask what you just gave for information, and I guess I do just want to add, I mean, I think about the business that's almost across the street and how traffic backs up onto KMD, and not knowing what this business is, I have a hard time picturing what 90 peak hour trips looks like. But, just seeing how close the drive-through is and how the traffic flow is, I worry about traffic potentially backing up across, the people trying to get out, and stuff like that. I'm not saying that I want to see anything change. I worry about it. So I would love to hear if all of that stuff has been considered, and you guys are all confident that it's not going to be a problem, and everything's going to be great. So
Mark, let me jump in, please, and field a couple of these questions and concerns, which are very, very legitimate questions, April and Dave. I'm sorry I haven't met you in person before now, but I do want to address this a little bit. I've been given the okay to tell you folks who the prospective tenant is. It is a subsidiary of Northern Light Medical Center hospital system. They want to open a pharmacy in that end of the building, Penny Hill. And in prior approvals, Inland Hospital, which is part of the Northern Light system, we've already received approval, although the project never went ahead, for them to build medical offices in that space. And we've renegotiated, and they want to use the space a little differently in terms of building out a pharmacy there, but not to be confused with like a CVS or a Rite Aid, which has a full service, almost like convenience store pharmacy. The hospital pharmacies are a little more targeted to to patients that are served by that system. Like the rest of you, I am discouraged by the traffic that backs up both on KMD, and I believe what I'm hearing is the gas station with the former J&S Oil, which is now an Irving station that has been allowed to have that happen all these years. People who aren't from Waterville, as well as Wendy's, which I agree, April, is very annoying, backing out into Upper Main Street, which is a nightmare to begin with. Again, people who are not from Waterville. I've lived and worked in Waterville my entire life. I think I've proven myself as a responsible developer, and I've studied this very, very carefully, and would not even approach the city if I felt there would be a situation that would cause a backup into KMD as a result of this or any other project I was doing for that matter. If you look at the diagram that Mark has presented, before it even backs up into the parking lot, okay, there's at least room for at least 4 cars before it even backs up into my parking lot, much less the KMD right away. You'd have to have another 10 or 15 cars backed up before it would ever even approach the entrance to KMD. And I'm not sure if any of you have ever pulled through the CVS or the Walgreens drive-throughs, but even at peak hours, there might be 3 or 4 cars in line there. And that ties in with exactly what the Northern Lights folks have told me, that medical pharmacies typically don't have more than 2, 3, or 4 cars that back up in their drive-throughs. for what it's worth, they're not the only tenant in my property. It is not my objective to alienate the other tenants or the folks that favor the other tenants by allowing this project on my property. That matters a lot to me. I know most of you don't interact with me in my real estate businesses, but that matters a lot to me. So for what it's worth, I've studied this very carefully. Mark has been and always has been a key member of my team to evaluate things. We've brought in Diane Morati, who is a traffic engineer, a former DOT employee, and now practices traffic engineering on all of my projects that require traffic studies. It's been reviewed, it's been evaluated, it's been approved by all of them. City engineers signed off, and I believe we've done our homework on this, and want to assure you that to the best of my ability, there will not be backup into KMD.
Thank you, Bill. That's really helpful.
Yeah,
You're
thank you.
welcome.
Bruce.
Yes, thank you, Samantha, and thank you, Mr. Mitchell and Bill, for that overview and information. I know, knowing you and seeing some of the other projects, I know you've always done a great job. The engineers do. In fact, the building that you recently purchased, I think, where Subway and Portland Glass is.
Correct.
Nice job there. That looks great.
Thank you.
So my question, and I think you gave us a good overview. You have two entrances into that parking lot. Is that correct? Are they both
Yes.
in and out on both those ends?
Yes, they are.
Okay, plenty wide. Gone up in there plenty of times. I know the business, the fitness center. I should be going there more often, but I know Scott Baldick does a great job there. So
Yeah.
I think it looks like a good project, and thank you for bringing it forward.
Well, thank you, Bruce. And I will add that, Scott has done a really good job. He may be listening tonight on Zoom, and I'm not asking him to pipe in necessarily, but he was interested in being part of tonight's meeting. He's done a great job there. It's not really necessarily this overwhelming increase of traffic that will come as a result of this 1,000 square foot addition, but instead it allows his existing customers to spread out a little bit more and enjoy a little bit better experience while they are working out in his fitness center. I will also add that when I built the building where Waterville Pediatrics is on this property, which was no small undertaking for a local developer, somebody like myself, it's a major project. I paid for, after an in-depth analysis, again by Mark McCluskey at A.E. Hodgson, and Diane Moriarty from her engineering firm with involvement with the DOT, I built and paid for the middle turning lane on Kennedy Memorial Drive in that entire stretch. And not to be too critical, after many others were allowed to do things in that stretch of KMD that are now detrimental to traffic flow in KMD. So I've played nicely along through the process, and have done everything I've been asked to do to make for a better experience for travelers along that stretch of KMD.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Any members of the public? Okay, well, hearing none, we'll move on to the findings and facts. Mark, did you get a copy of that? And Bill?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'll read them. If anybody wants to make a motion for me to read by number only, I would not be opposed.
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Dave. Is there a second?
You're welcome.
Any discussion? All right, we'll do a quick roll call. April?
Yes. Sorry.
Bruce?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
I am a yes. Tom?
Yes.
And Cassie?
Yes.
Okay, so number one.
True.
Number 2.
True.
Number 3.
True.
Number 4.
True.
Number 5.
Also true.
Number 6.
True.
Number 7.
True.
Number 8.
True.
And number 9.
That's also true.
Okay, and we received the letter from the fire department today,
Yes,
Ann?
then, if you see the last page, it lists the condition from the fire chief.
Okay, yes, the condition that in the fire chief's letter today was general life and safety review,
Yep.
as long as you're comfortable with that. I did notice, is this am I looking at the letter from the fire department? Did he?
Oh, I can show you his letter.
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm okay, 295 KMD, all right. So yeah, it says 295 KMD, and then in the letter, he writes 295 Main Street.
Oh,
So we're
Yeah.
gonna want to have him fix that,
okay.
just so that we have everything correct. I wouldn't
Yeah.
want that to come back.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. But with that all being said, we did get a letter from the city engineer too, who about that there was no problem with the traffic as well. So I'm comfortable moving forward with that. So I will make a motion to accept this project and the findings and facts. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Cassie. Any further discussion? We will move to a roll call vote. So, April.
Yes.
Dave.
Yes.
Bruce.
Yes.
I am a yes. Tom.
Yes.
And Cassie.
Yes.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you very
Thank you all
much.
very much.
Have a great
Have a
evening.
great rest of
See
the
ya.
night. Thank you.
So if the planning board members who were here.
Stick
wouldn't
around if you
mind
want.
Signing that, that would be
For this riveting. And can I steal a pen from you? Thank you. Okay.
Oh,
Tom needs a pen.
oh, okay.
All right, we are unprepared for class today, Ann.
I should have given you the pen, I don't like as much.
All right, we're moving on to item number 5. The City of Waterville is requesting rezoning properties on the west side of College Avenue from the south side of Maple Street to Broadway Street, currently either entirely or partially in Commercial C zone. These properties, excluding parcels directly abutting College Avenue, would be rezoned to Residential B or Residential C. Review is in accordance with section 7.1 of the zoning ordinance. So Ann, can maybe you give us a general overview? Thank you for pulling up that map, Ally.
Oh, thank you, Ellen. So, this is the second of 2 ordinances that involve College Avenue. The first one was a proposal to rezone the properties directly on College Avenue. They all have College Avenue addresses. And this was a proposal by the Housing Committee to increase locations where housing could be developed in Waterville. So the City Council has under consideration a new zone. It's called Commercial CC1. So it's essentially very similar to the CC zone, but it also allows housing. So the council was about to vote on take the second vote on that, which would have finalized it. But one of the councilors was concerned that the owners of properties directly on College Avenue wouldn't understand that if the properties were rezoned to CC1, they no longer would be able to have a new marijuana business come in there. So when I notified abutters for the second rezoning ordinance, I had to notify abutters, which included everybody who owned property right along College Avenue. And so they've now received in big, bold lettering that if they don't object to their property being rezoned to CC1, then they'll no longer be able to have a marijuana business there. The existing marijuana businesses are legal non-conforming, or unless, in Mr. Day's case, he's asked to opt out, and David Palmer has asked, and Dr. Dudley have asked to have their properties excluded from that rezoning. So presumably, the second reading will take place on February 15th. I'm sorry, is that right? Yes, okay. Couldn't remember what
Yes,
month it
next
was.
week.
So, with some more parcels removed from the rezoning. So the council didn't want to leave properties in between the residential zone and the CC1 zone and the C zone, or the 19 parcels are in two different zones, partially in commercial C and partially in residential C or residential B. So that's what we're talking about tonight, is rezoning the parcels between the ones right on College Avenue and the residential zone. And all of those, as far as I can tell, all of those are currently in residential use. So the proposal is to rezone them, to put them entirely into a residential zone. And they all would be residential B, except for the one that Arthur and his family has just acquired, which is in the residential C zone, and it only has a very tiny sliver in the commercial C zone. So essentially it would be the same as what it is now. So I hope that's clear. If anybody has any questions, I'll try to do better.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? You have to just let me know, Allie. Here we go. Okay. Any questions from the public or comments? Anybody online? Okay. Yes, absolutely.
I just want to be clear, so this is, this section for the residential, not directly on College?
Right. Tonight is only the portion behind the properties on College Avenue. So the ones directly on College Avenue, I think, is Ally wanting you to come up?
Oh, she was going to bring him the microphone.
Oh,
I
okay,
think.
excellent. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ally.
So, yes, so on February 15th, that's when your parcel will be on the council agenda again.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, hearing, yes, April.
Just to clarify, that means that we are going from a commercial C to a residential. So we're going to a more restrictive sort of zone. Is that correct? Do I understand that correctly?
Yes, but all but 4 pieces. They're 4 very small lots that currently are entirely in the commercial C zone. They're in residential use now. They're between the properties right on College Avenue and the 19 parcels that are in 2 different zones.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, I will entertain a motion. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the zoning change as Anne has proposed.
Second.
Thank you, April. We'll do a roll call. So, Dave,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
Bruce.
Yes.
I am a yes, Tom,
Yes.
and Cassie.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. long agenda, but we're really cruising. Item number 6, Manor Gardens LLC is requesting an informal pre-application review for 36 townhouse apartments to be constructed at 54 College Avenue, 13 Maple Street, and a portion of 10 to 14 Maple Street. This review is in accordance with Article 4 of the Site Plan Review Ordinance and Section 4.3.18 Multifamily Developments of the Zoning Ordinance. Okay, Arthur, would you like to tell us about your project?
Yes, if you don't mind, Justin and I will come up.
Wonderful.
Yes. And again, I'm Arthur Trammell. We briefly spoke about our project, and thank you for considering this project again. This is Justin Morgan. He's a lead architect for this project and owner of Design and Build. My son-in-law and my daughter Joey Heather will also present our so-called package to you. And I think they did a wonderful job of presenting what our wishes are and our aspirations. So I guess at this point, I'm hoping my son-in-law is going to be up online here shortly.
He is, right there.
Okay. And
Hey guys, can you hear me?
We
yes,
can, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess I can jump in. So we sent out a pre-read of the document. It's about 13 pages. A couple of them are kind of appendix and cover pages and all that stuff. So we're here essentially, as Art said, to present preliminary plans for the development of what we're calling Manor Gardens. We're requesting consideration for CA contract zoning due to setback requirements only. And we've prepared obviously that short presentation that you guys have in front of you. So I can take you guys through it. I can walk you through. I can go as fast or as slow as you guys need. I know we're batting cleanup here at the end, and so we just want to be conscious of everybody's time. But we can take you through kind of at a high level, and then we can take questions at any point in the presentation or in the deck, if that works for you guys.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Cool. So I will try to share. And we're gonna go. Can you guys see that?
Yes, we can.
Awesome, cool. So I'll take it away. So big picture, we've got just a couple of slides here about who we are. I've met a couple of you. Ann Beveridge, I know a little bit. We've met a few times. Bruce, we met through email. I know you spoke with Arthur today. The rest of you, very nice to meet you. Again, I'm Mike Curran. We'll take you through a little bit of the key progress to date. We have been very busy since the summer. We'll take you through a little bit of the current parcels that we have, and then we'll take you through the site plan, and then we'll kind of stop and sit on the zoning page, and then we'll just kind of take you through a bird's eye view of the neighborhood, of what the properties would look like, and then just kind of summarize and kind of finish up. So we are Manor Gardens. We're a family-owned business. It was founded by myself, my wife, Joey Curran Trammell, who's Art's daughter, and then Art and Connie Trammell, who he's obviously there. Together, we own and manage multiple rental units across Waterville. We've managed ours since 2011. The Trammells really have dedicated their career to providing housing in Waterville for over 35 years. And we've learned a ton from them, kind of watching them develop their business and really dedicate their career to the neighborhood. And as Art said, we've hired Justin Morgan, the owner and operator of Main Design and Build, as lead architect and designer for the project. Justin is also a Waterville native, and so we're actually really excited about that. And so I think in the blue there, our mission is frankly to continue a legacy of providing safe and accessible housing with a community atmosphere that Art has really started, and we just look to continue that legacy. So as I said, we have been busy. We closed on the property, and it's two properties. It's 54 College and 13 Maple. For the tax map, it would be 349 and 348 respectively, those parcels. So we closed in June. In July, Art got to work right away. We started clearing the land He worked with the Bacon Construction up there, cleared some trees, some scrub trees, and added in a retaining wall along the back of the property just to clean it up and to kind of prep for the project to come. In July, we hired Justin and his company. We're very excited to be working with him. In October, we auctioned off all the contents of the manor. It was packed with kind of old and new materials, commercial materials, etc., refrigerators, stoves. All of that stuff has gone. It's essentially a vacant, empty building at this point. November, we completed our last survey need there, which was a topographic survey. And then in December, we worked with RJ Enterprises, a local company, to remediate the building fully and clear it for demolition. There was a little bit of asbestos and some floor tiling. That is all gone. We've been cleared, and Art actually pulled the demo permit that we expect to take place in the spring. In December, right before Christmas, fully shut down the manor, so it's locked. We have a key, but there's nothing in there anymore. We've actually been talking to the fire department about possibly doing some training work in there while it's vacant, while it's still standing. So that's kind of still TBD, but that offer is out there. And then in January, we actually acquired additional land behind the manor that's not on the agenda for today, but it's just part of what we've been doing. And then this month into February, we've been in earnest discussions with a couple of local banks for earnest funding fully. So we're in the kind of term negotiation stage, and it's looking very good. So that's kind of been the quick progress to date. That's 6 or 7 months in review. And again, feel free to ask questions as I go or stop me at any point. So this is just an overview of the parcels. As I said, so 54 College Ave is 349 on the tax map. 13 Maple is 348. We will be, if you can see in the red, I don't know if you can see my cursor, where it says Archon Realty, we'll be working to add and kind of bolt on another 4,500 square feet of Art's separate holding company, Archon, and attach that onto 54 College Ave for, frankly, a little bit more parking that you guys will see in the next couple of slides. So all told, these two parcels add up to roughly 1.4 acres at what we're calling kind of the entry point of the north end. So this is essentially the main summary slide. As far as if you kept one page, this would probably be the one just so you could see at least our intention. It's essentially a two-phase plan that would entail 14 total buildings. So we'll start in the blue, 54 College Ave, it's where the manor stands now. We would take right where it stands and put 4 buildings in there, and then another cluster of 5 throughout the rest of what is now that parking lot, which would give you, as you can see on that first bullet, it's 9 buildings or 23 residential units. Once that's completed and rented, we would move to phase 2 in the orange, and there you'd see, again, kind of in an L shape, 5 buildings with 13 total residential units. The idea is to have a mix, or a total of 36 units with a mix of 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartment or townhouse style apartments. The 1-beds would be roughly 600 square feet, a hair over, and then the 2-beds would be a mixture of 900 and 1,000 square foot apartments. And so again, it's 2 phases, so whereby we would kind of start construction, get the funding for phase 1, and that's what we're working with the banks on now, complete, and then move over to phase 2. As far as the actual building design and property overview itself, as I said before, it's a mixture of 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, 36 total units. The community would boast brand new construction, which I think the area is in need of. Obviously, we've talked about the housing supply kind of being low and demand being high. So again, bringing some brand new construction to the neighborhood. The residential units will include 2-bed townhouses and 1-bedroom apartments, and a portion of those single unit apartments on that first floor, and you can see it here on the right side. Those would be, a portion of those would be handicapped accessible, and even for elderly housing as well, whereby you'd have that kind of first floor entry, folks that aren't able to take the stairs or want to take the stairs, you would have 8 of those at this point, and then 28 would be the remainder. The units would include in-unit laundry hookups, energy efficient appliances, green heating and cooling. That's really important to us. We're going to try to use solar where we can to bring in the sustainable features and benefits. We're proud of this as well. So right now, assuming minimal or no changes, there's over 2 parking spaces per unit on the property, which is awesome. And then additionally, we would look to add exterior space with private residential patios, a little fenced-in area for folks, and then community gardens, hence the name, and some gathering areas that you'll see kind of on the following pages. I'll move along. So the overview, this is the bird's eye view. So I'll take your eyes over to this top view, which is essentially the College Ave view, kind of heading north to south. So you'd have, you could see the top 4 here, right where the Manor building sits now, that cluster of 5. And then this is the Maple Street L that we saw on the last page. And then here on the bottom, I've got the icons kind of in the way, but you can see that kind of coming down Maple, making that bend towards the left over towards Ash Street. You can see that the part that we think works here is just the general scale of the neighborhood. We were very mindful not to go over 3 stories. That is really as high as it gets in the neighborhood, and Art can speak really effectively to that. He's worked there his whole career, but we tried to create that nice aesthetic feel. Justin did a really good job of making sure that we kind of hit on that, making sure that we're at that 2 or 3 story structure limit, if you will. And so we think it fits nicely given the neighborhood. This is just a vision board of what we're thinking. These are obviously just images as far as what we are going to try to do. So there'd be benches for folks to sit in general areas. You can see here kind of the private screening off each of the townhouses with a small patio for folks, some sitting areas, solar that we're going to work really hard to integrate in and work off electric where we can for heating and cooling, gardens spread out into the green spaces, and then just the general townhouse dynamic, which we'll use a couple of different colors just so it's not all super uniform and kind of all brown, if you will. So we're looking to try to paint in some nice look and feel and nice colors to break up the neighborhood. That's the vision board. This is the slide that we're really asking for consideration. We've poured through, and Justin, keep me honest, we've poured through all the zoning requirements for CC1. We're really close. We're on for everything, whether it's open areas, parking areas, lot size requirements, open space requirements. So we hit on everything. Where we're asking, really the reason for the consideration is for setback requirements. So as you can see, the requirement is 20. We're asking for 10 feet all around for both parcels, 13 Maple and 54 College Ave. The reason really is just for the general amount of housing. We've been housing bias, if you will, or unit bias. So trying to get a good amount, the optimal amount of units onto the property without going straight up, because that's another way you could go, while at the same time being really mindful of the parking, because it is a kind of a parking starved area as well. And so what we would propose along those setback areas, along the boundaries, all greenery, trees, we would hit on all the requirements that exist for 20 feet. We would just ask that you guys consider 10 feet in order to maximize the units without going, without changing the dynamic or the footprint of the neighborhood in general. So that is really the presentation. This is just the summary of what we kind of just talked about. So we're local, kind of born and raised in the Waterville area, excited to provide additional housing in the North End. We're working on this 2-phase plan for 36 townhouses, brand new construction, parking lots, green space, It would be a mix of 2 beds and 1 bedrooms with some handicapped accessible. And the team is working really hard to include sustainable renewable energy, frankly, at every turn. We would expect to begin construction kind of late mid-fall of this year. And we really look forward to kind of meeting you guys in person, but then also working with you in general. So that is it. That was 12 minutes. So that's as fast as I can do it. So.
That was wonderful. Thank you.
So
I believe
I'm going to escape out. Yeah, please.
the zoning vote is next meeting, the
Well,
22nd, or?
Steve Daly, City Manager Steve
Yep.
Daly has agreed to put this on the council, their rezoning request.
Yep.
On the council agenda for February 15th, and that would refer the request to this board. So we would notify abutters, put a legal notice in the paper, and they would be back here as soon as I can get the notice. It's a 14-day notification requirement.
Okay, so not the 22nd, but our following meeting. would be
Probably,
able to
yeah.
be. Okay, so that will be the rezoning request. Tonight, we're just a pre-application review so that we can see everything, and I mean, everything looks really great.
We thought it would be important for you to
She has a
understand
hand.
our plan forward. And
Absolutely, yes. I appreciate the transparency. Yep, thank you. And I mean, I think we all know the need for housing in Waterville, and no one as well as you, Arthur. And you and I kind of spoke about this dream a year ago, so it's
Yes,
exciting to
yes.
see it come to
It's
fruition.
wonderful that the next generation is helping to carry on the legacy, you know.
Absolutely.
It is nice that the next generation is taking over the legacy of what we started, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. So Bruce, you have a comment?
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Michael, for getting back to me when I emailed you. And great, presentation and everything. And thank you, Arthur, for meeting with me today on site. I liked what Michael said about the legacy. There's no doubt a legacy with it, as you mentioned, Samantha. I mean, Arthur and Connie and his family have been around for a while, so I had relatives that lived in units here in the North End. Always happy with you. They considered you family, Arthur. So,
Thank you.
Oh, and by the way, the retaining wall, I remember seeing that this summer. Pretty impressive. I often wondered what was going on. So they did a good job there. So, couple of questions. So, I know we talked about that today too, the 10-foot setback, just so we have an idea as a board, that all the property around that is your property. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, and and from what I've seen, that property will probably be your property for well into the future, I would expect.
Yes, the long haul, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Great. And so also have you considered, because this comes up, and I think as Samantha also mentioned, there's no doubt the housing, the newly formed housing committee is, we know the need. One of the other things we just voted on was the College Avenue rezoning. So to get more housing, have you considered 3-bedroom units at all? Could you speak on that?
Michael, yes? Yeah.
I can take it to start. So we have the cool thing about working with Art and Connie. They've done it for 35 years. And they've got a ton of data and a lot of units that they rent out now from an inventory standpoint. So from a demand standpoint, you've got the units that are in the highest demand are 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. It's just the numbers are just in that space. The other thing we talked about was just the affordability of a brand new 3-unit. And so we were worried that we'd be tipping into a price point that would be past what would be kind of affordable for folks in the area. So we were conscious of that. I think if it's a huge push for folks, we could look at it. But we did let the numbers kind of speak for themselves to say, based on demand, based on history, based on pricing, a mixture of 2s and 1s really was optimal for what we thought would be these first 36 units. So that's where we started. It would change some things, but I guess I'll leave it there for now.
Yeah, square footage.
Thank you. No,
yeah.
we have heard that, I mean, from people in the community that we don't seem to have enough, but I just wanted your take. And I know this is a huge project and it looks like it would be an expensive project. And obviously you have to at least break even and hopefully make a few dollars on it to put away for other projects. So
Rainy days.
I realize that, but it has come up. It came up at our housing conference. So I just wanted to throw that out there and just wondered about it. So thank you. I'll let David Johnson go, and then I may have another question or two later.
Okay. Go ahead, Dave.
Thanks, Bruce. Yeah, I want to also say I really love everything that I'm seeing with this project. It's definitely needed. One thing that I probably wouldn't think about it at all, except for the time of year. I just wanted to make sure you guys have thought about good snow removal tactics. I love that there's so many parking spots. I wonder how many there would be this time of year. With the setbacks, I would definitely want to understand how close those new buildings would be to existing structures that are on abutting lots, and making sure that there wouldn't be any safety issues, things like that. And I would echo what Bruce said about the larger units. I don't know if anybody who's an attendee, I do see a couple of people that are on the housing committee that happen to be here. I don't know if any of you folks have talked with anybody from the housing committee about this project. If you haven't, I would encourage you to get their feedback. They're doing some pretty good work. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I'll take, there's 3 things there. I'll take the first one. So snow removal, Justin really pushed us hard on making sure we have parking and kind of 2-way parking lots. So they're wide enough such that we would be able to plow through all the way through on that top parcel on 54 and clear it back out where needed. So there's plenty, like I said, 2-car widths wide for dual passability, which is huge. And those 10-foot setbacks allow for that. 20 would start to infringe on the parking area.
Yeah.
And as far as the setbacks for new buildings, existing structures, we'll take that as a follow-up. I think we'd be in the clear, but I wouldn't want to answer without kind of going through the map and making sure that's cleared. But I think the proximity to those existing structures is low to none, and then we've got the retaining wall that was just put up that would have some abutments or adjacencies on